Thank you to our producer who just gave us the go-ahead.
Hey guys, and welcome to the podcast. This is beer, dad bods,
And bullshit.
and bullshit. That's right. There's going to be a lot of bullshit.
We're gonna do. You know what we should do in the future?
What should we do?
Like the Beastie Boys thing. Like it kind of like you do one, I do the second one, then you do the third one.
I can't stand it.
No,
I know
so
you're
mean,
playing it.
I know. I mean, like beers,
Dad bods.
and bullshit.
You think we can be like the Beastie Boys?
I know.
We could be that big someday, don't you think?
No.
Well, let's talk about what's going on here today first before we get into our topics, okay?
Okay.
So today we're introducing the pilot episode of Beer, Dad Bods, and Bullshit.
We're gonna do a 30-minute episode, approximately every week.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do it every week. That's the plan. We hope you guys are in for that journey with us.
In around 30 minutes, because part of the podcast is about beer, so it might be 22, it might be 34, but we'll figure that out.
Depends how good the beer is, I guess, right?
And how many we've had beforehand.
And exactly. So I'm Andy.
I'm Ian.
And we're going to be your host for this. And what we're doing here is we're going to introduce you to some great local craft brews from the province of New Brunswick.
And maybe a few episodes on beers from out of province too.
Yeah, and maybe some special topics that aren't even beer related sometimes, just to throw you off your game, peeps.
We do have a very controversial topic coming up in a couple weeks. Very controversial.
Don't go there yet, Ian.
No,
that's too early for the peeps. They can't handle that. They can't handle it yet.
No, we'll wait.
So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about beer. We're going to talk a little bit about history of beer because I know a little bit about the topic.
And I know nothing.
We're going to talk about particular breweries. Today we're going to introduce you to one of them. We'll get into that in a second. We're going to try to get to 2 beer per brewery per episode. But we're also going to bring the bullshit in, and we're going to have one particular topic that we're going to kind of interweave around our beer talk. And it's going to be topics that could range the gamut of being a parent and what's going on to being, living in the St. John region, which we might talk about today. What else could we talk about, Ian?
We could talk about foods.
Food, absolutely. We're definitely going to hit on food.
There'll be some flavors that we don't necessarily agree on.
Yeah, absolutely, because only people who are ass think friggin' honey garlic is good.
That will be a whole nother topic, because I'm pretty sure if you go to a grocery store and you look at wings right now, honey garlic is there.
Well, let's save that for another day.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
What we should do right now, though, is we should start by telling the people what we're going to be drinking today.
Sure.
What we're starting off with today is a brewery that's based out of Rothsay. I guess they call it Rothsay Quispam now that they've amalgamated. Is that correct? Am I right about that?
Rothpamsis.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, we're going to go with that. Just so you know, and if you're not familiar with the area, they have some spectacular craft brews out there. Absolutely spectacular. There's one brewery, they're called LongBay. I've been a big fan of them for several years. They have a few flagship brews that they've had since the original owner owned it. It's now been purchased and bought out by a second owner. And one of the flagship brews that they have is the Ruckus IPA. And we're going to crack those beers right now. We're going to talk about that beer, and then we're going to get into our topic of the day. So go ahead and crack it, Ian.
Well, just wait a second here now. So if you can't tell, Andy is very much more the beer aficionado than I am. He knows about the history, knows about all that kind of stuff. I do not. I am more your traditional. I like the lighter beers. Yeah. I like wheat beers. I like the ones you guys call Germany beers. Citrusy. Belgian Moon is one of my favorites.
Sure. Like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that other than the fact that you're wrong.
But I will say some of these ones that I'm trying, I really like. So this Ruckus IPA I have had before. Yeah, I do really like.
I certainly hope. Let's crack them, bud. I need to get into this right now.
All right. So I'm going to pour mine into my mug that we got from the cottage, which is called the Lancaster Alpine Hockey Tournament.
And I've got a mug that has dartboards on it because I am a dart player. Anybody who knows me knows that I've been playing darts my whole life. We're going to pour these into some mugs because if you're drinking a good brew, you should drink it out of a cold glass or a cold mug because it's better that way. And if someone tells you that it's not better that way, they're probably wrong.
It should also have a head, so I've learned.
I'm not going to touch that topic.
Everything's
too early in the podcast for that topic right now.
Everything's better.
Let's take a sip of that and see what we think.
With a little head. It's refreshing.
Yeah, I think it's really refreshing. You know what I love about this is that it's a 7% beer, but it doesn't hit you like it's a strong, strong beer. It's not like you're like, holy shit, this is strong. It's going to knock me on my ass. A few of them might because it's a 7% beer, but it's really approachable. Like you could sit there and you could drink multiple of these and just crush them, right?
So I don't know anything about that. I'm just going to read what it says on the side of the label.
Please do.
This is an unfiltered ale with IBU of 60.
Do you know what IBU is for the listeners?
International Business.
The International Bitterness Units is what it stands
bitterness.
for.
I knew it was international.
And there's a certain scale. It starts from 0 and goes as high as you can get. The highest I've ever tried is 125. It's another brewery that we'll talk about another day, and that is a very bitter beer. This is a IPA. So IPAs typically will fall in the 40 to 80, 90 range, somewhere in there. This one being at 60 is right in the middle of that. I believe this is more considered an East Coast IPA, which gives you more of those citrus flavors in there that you're going to pick up on. You can try it. Maybe you get a little grapefruit.
I like it. No, I like it. There's a little bitterness to it, but
it's not terrible though. It's not super bitter, right?
No, it's not. It's got a good flavor. Like so yeah. Again, I'm not the one who knows about beers, but I do know what I like, and I do know what tastes good. I think
so this IPA particularly, I believe it goes heavy on the Mosaic hops and the Citra hops, and those are some very, very, very heavy, very popular hops to put in IPAs. So that's where you get a lot of that flavor you get from right there. Is when they put it in.
So let's talk about the can here a little bit, because the can is kind of unique.
Yes.
There's a guy. I think it's a guy. A skeleton.
Sure. Yeah. What's skeleton? Let's call it the skeleton. Let's not genderfy him.
Okay. Skeleton Joe. No, I just genderfied him again.
Oh, see, there you go.
How about Joey? Joey can be a guy.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's go with that.
Skeleton Joey is riding on. I'm going to call that a moped.
Yes. Okay.
That is a moped, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess it could be. It's got 2 lights on it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
sure, moped. Why not? Let's go with that.
Look, the feet are kind of in that open wheel well kind of area. It's not hanging to the side, so I call it a moped.
Yep.
But he's moving.
Well, he's causing a ruckus. That's what he's doing.
Is that what he's doing?
He's causing a ruckus. Look at him. Doesn't he look like he's causing a ruckus?
He certainly would be in an old folks' home.
Look, you know what? If you haven't tried this beer, people, you need to go out and at least see the can. The design on the can is fantastic. Like, it just looks fun. When you see it, it's a bright yellow can. It has the LongBay Brewery on top, Ruckus IPA in big bold letters, and it has the picture of the guy riding on the scooter, and it's fun looking. Like, it just is. Yep. It's a fun beer. It looks good. The big thing about IPAs is they're unfiltered ales, right? Like, there's not clean. It's not one of these clean, crisp ones that you get when you get into lagers and stuff like that. Ales are like that, and that's what I love about them. And that's what I love about IPAs is they have that rich flavor you get with that.
Now, I'm a little more on the ale side. I do tend to like a little bit.
Well, this
more.
Is an ale. You like more of the cleaner, crisper type stuff, right?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. It's not my deal.
Yeah. No. But
I'm ales all the way.
Well,
I'm team ale.
Your team IPA. India Pale Ale.
So do yourself a favor. Go out yourself, pick yourself up a Ruckus IPA.
So let's talk about where you can get these. So we mentioned that the breweries in Rothbamsis.
Yes, it is.
Or Rosse, Quispamsis. Actually, it's Rosse, I guess.
It is.
I grew up right around the corner from there.
I know you did. Funny enough.
Now they opened another location.
They did. So
where did they open this location, Andy?
Well, let's
tell our listeners they're waiting.
Let's first.
Andy, why don't you tell them?
Why don't we tell them where the first location is, though? It's right across the street from the Superstore and all of that stuff in that little mall section. And that's where it is. It's right beside the pool place.
Why don't you tell them what used to be across the street? Maybe that may be more familiar.
What did used to be across the street? The bowling alley used to be there, I think.
Yeah. Wasn't there a movie theater there at one point?
Wasn't there a Staples there, too?
There was a Staples.
A lot of stuff's been there, actually. Yeah. What I know is there, though, is there's a Superstore, a liquor store, a Starbucks,
and a Cannabis NB.
Oh, I think there's a Splash there too, actually.
Is there?
Yeah, and I think that's where they put the new Cask and Kettle right up there too, in that section, isn't it? Or am I wrong about that? I could be wrong. I don't live out there.
No,
I don't go that way very
Cask
often.
and Kettle's down on Clark
Anyways,
Road.
So that's their home location.
But it's a good restaurant.
Yeah. Originally, that location was actually really small, and then they expanded it. Now the original owner he grew this brand, and then it was his time to move on. He sold the business, and then the new guys who opened the business, they had big plans for it. So they took that location they had, and then they spread it open, and now they've got a tap room there, and now they do live music and they do everything. But you're right, they did open a second location. Second location,
In
St. John, New Brunswick, Water Street.
Do you think we should maybe transition this to talk about St. John, New Brunswick?
I do think we should do that.
I think that's a good idea. So I didn't know at the time, because I'm not the beer follower. I just know what I like. My wife and I went to this brewery. It was called Wasted Day,
right
down on Water Street, and I think we had the Wasted Day IPA, I believe.
Fantastic. I've had it.
Well, and it was only, I think, you who told us that it's actually LongBay.
So here's my introduction to knowing that is that they put out an IPA. The new owners, when they started expanding, started doing a lot of like experimentals. They started doing one-off series. They put out they'd make a whole run of it and that'd be it. They made one and they called it Wasted Day IPA, and it's basically you get a bunch of these, drink a bunch of IPAs, waste your day away, have fun, love it. It's a strong following. A lot of people liked it. They decided to make it a full-time beer, and I think that's why they carried that over. And they wanted to give their second location its own identity versus calling it LongBay again. And I believe that's why. And don't quote me on this. I don't know this as for a fact. I'm just kind of guesstimating that I think that they kind of just wanted to have a second location with its own identity.
Yeah.
But both locations carry the exact same beer.
Well, it's interesting because the home location is obviously much more, looks like a small microbrewery.
Right. It does.
Kind of industrialized.
Yep.
It's in a building that would look like could probably fit in any industrial park, any sort of strip mall, that type of thing. But their second location on Water Street in St. John, New Brunswick, it's a fantastic location, and it's a different feel. It's a much more hipster kind of
look. I love it. I love it there. Are
hipsters still a thing?
Yeah, that's probably going to be a topic at some point in time down the road as well, right? Well, let me just say though that location that they have set up down there on Water Street is awesome. You're looking straight out onto the waterfront. Now, right now, all you're looking at is kind of construction, but you know what the future is for the city of St. John down on that waterfront is fantastic. It's going to be awesome. I love their spot there. I love the things they've been doing, right? So I've been there a couple of nights where I walked in and I went in with some friends over at Christmas time. We're out for my work Christmas party, and we decided we wanted to go down there for a beer. And then we walked in, and the place was jam-packed on a Thursday night. And It's because they were doing trivia night. Yep. And it was full. And it was great to see that many people in Uptown St. John at one location. And then we went to another location. We saw the same thing again. Look, we saw another thing again. Everywhere around the city of St. John on a Thursday night, random Thursday, middle of December, jam-packed everywhere.
Look, like it's certainly changed to those who may have known St. John before. Like you say Thursday, I know my wife and I have the experience of going out on Wednesdays and walking into a restaurant on a Wednesday and thinking, not going to be an issue, and them asking us if we have reservations, and then telling us, well, we may have to wait in order to get seated, and not at the highest of high.
Did you ever tell them, don't you know who I am? Hello.
No, but it's a Wednesday. But it's a Wednesday evening. Usually it's a Wednesday evening, and the place is bustling.
I know, I love it. I love it. Right?
It's
good energy. That's what it is, right? That's what you mean.
Yeah,
it's good energy.
Water Street. What else is going on Water Street? From your window, you can see a new addition to Water Street.
And not that I'm going to get into like the background on what we do for livings, but I have an office that stares over top of Water Street, so I see all the activity that's going on down there. This is another big thing why we want to talk about as our topic of the day here today. Our topic of the day is the city of St. John and why it is the flagship city of the province of New Brunswick, why we love it, and not that we don't like other cities, but why St. John sincerely kicks the shit out of the rest of them.
It kind of does.
Oh, it does. No, there's no doubt that it does. If you don't think that, you think wrong.
So there are other ways where other cities, if you look at the statistics wise, like Moncton is certainly growing faster, has certainly recovered from where they were. Fredericton has a bigger college kind of town, which is usually attracts a certain kind of growing vibe and vibrancy that it comes with that. And it's got a nice little waterfront where it's at. But St. John, I think, is a little unique, and even though hasn't experienced the growth that you see from Moncton. It is growing again, but I think it has a different feel to it than those other ones.
Let me tell you a couple of stories about why I think St. John is better than these other cities. I'm going to tell you about what the sprawl I see is in the city of Moncton.
Let's keep the word better. Let's talk about, from your perspective, why you are in favorite.
You're so politically correct.
I'm just saying better can be how many comments are we going to get?
It's okay.
Millions of comments, I'm sure.
All the comments. We're going to get them all. Every one of the comments.
There's not even a million.
Let me tell you why my perspective is that St. John has a leg up on some of these other cities. It's because St. John's uptown core does it right. Everything is concentrated. Nothing is spread out. Right. So you have so much stuff to do in such a small concentration of a few city blocks. Whereas right now, if you go to Moncton, which I love Moncton, they have some fantastic stuff there. Like, let me tell you some of the things that I've been to Moncton recently. Have you been to Tire Shack? Yeah, you have, because you've been there with me. It's awesome. I love that place. I can't wait to see what they're going to put on there.
We'll get into some of the Moncton beers, because
we're going to have their beers later.
Fantastic.
I love Halo Donuts, man. Those things are delish. Yep. Like, have you been in the Avenir Center before? What they built out there? That thing is dope.
Yep.
Like, so they've got some great stuff there,
and they did it right with no parking.
Yeah, but you know what they don't do right is their Costco. That place is a goddamn madhouse when you go there on the weekends.
Yeah, well, they draw people from all around, everywhere from.
It's crazy. I went there on a Saturday one time. Yep. I tried to find a parking spot. It took me 15 minutes to find a parking spot. I walked into the store, grabbed a cart. I pushed my cart for 2 minutes. My wife and I looked at each other and she said, "We don't need anything here," and we left. Yeah, because it was nuts there.
Those are signs of the Moncton's vibrancy and how it's attracted a lot of people, which is good. I mean, it's good for economic.
Good and bad. It's good and bad about it, right? There's good and bad to that.
But the difference, I think, and I mean, Fredericton and Moncton both have a Costco too, and both have those same kind of sprawls, both big parking lots. But to me, the difference with St. John is it's the only one that really feels like a city.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Even if you just take one neighborhood, which is the South End Peninsula, you got skyscrapers, you got blocks of 4-story, 5-story, 6-story buildings.
Yep.
You got no setbacks from the sidewalks. You got buildings pegged, one on top of the other, right next to. You got people walking. You have no need to drive. It's the downtown. It has a downtown.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's why I love living there. Born and raised. I've never left St. John. Never going to leave St. John. Yeah. Why would you ever want to, right?
Well, to me, so a suburb is a suburb to me, right? Now I live in a suburb, so I'm not talking down about suburbs. I live in one. I live in suburbia. But you could take my suburb and put it in Fredericton or Moncton, and you wouldn't know that it was from St. John or Fredericton or Moncton. They all look the same.
Yeah, no, 100% they do, Ian. And then you talk about the city of Fredericton. I love Fredericton. I really do. They've got some fantastic stuff up there. We'll talk about them in the future as well, right? Yep. We're going to talk about their craft brew seed. They have some fantastic stuff
one
up
of my
there, right?
favorites is Fredericton.
Yeah, me too. Right? You know what? I've got a couple of my favorites actually are up there, and we're going to definitely get into those guys later on.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? It's spread out, right? So it's not concentrated, and that's what I love about the uptown core of the city of St. John. That's what makes me feel really happy about being there, right? Because you can just go do so much within just a few blocks, and you can't do that in those other places.
I agree. So Water Street. So these guys are set up on Water Street at Wasted Day, and you walk down one side of Water Street, you have the new Container Village with lots of new vendors. They grew actually, I think, a little bit this year. They've added a second festival. I think they've now partnered with the Multicultural Association, and they're closing off the street for a week. During the Area 506
festival. That's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to go to the Area 506 festival concert yet again this year.
We're going. Already
excited. Got the tickets.
And then you walk the other way, and you got the redevelopment at Fundy Key.
That's gonna be huge. Well, now you know it's a few years out, but it's gonna be awesome.
Yep. And then you got the redeveloped Market Slip area. That's gonna be done by the end of the year.
I love it. I love everything that's going on there. Ian, let's talk about beer again. Okay. Let's get back to the beer topic one more time, okay? Because we're just finishing up our Ruckus right now. Those Ruckus were amazing. One of my favorite. That is no joke. So this year for my birthday, I got a kegerator for my birthday this year, and my first choice of my first ever keg to put on that was a Ruckus IPA, and that is the first keg that I had tapped on there, and I loved everything about it.
I like Andy's birthday present. You know why
Yeah.
I like your birthday present?
Why?
Because it's at my cottage.
Yeah, I know, right? It's at our cottage. Thank you,
Our
not
cottage.
yours. Nice try.
That's
Our cottage. My name is also on the mortgage there, bro.
You have a cottage. I have a cottage.
Yeah, I know we do. Cheers to that.
Yep.
So what we're doing though, team, is we're moving on to our second selection from LongBay. This one's called the half of it. Let's crack those boys.
Team. Our listeners say team.
Yeah, team. Sure.
Okay. Fair enough.
And we're going to pour them into some Olympic glasses.
These look
They look like a chalice.
These look like, are they the Calgary Olympics?
I think so.
These
These are definitely from a Canadian Olympics.
So background on some of these beer mugs, I will tell you, is we bought this cottage a couple years ago when the pandemic first hit, and the lovely couple who owned it, who had long since retired and wanted to downsize, they left all the furnishings. And when I say all, I mean all the furnishings, except for the ride-on lawnmower.
Yeah, I wish that we would have left that, but
Yeah,
hey,
but
it is what it is.
They left everything else. So we have
They left the liquor collection, which was awesome.
They did. They did. So we have some interesting mugs that we inherited.
We did.
So we talked about two of them, but we'll talk about more.
Ian's got his favorite, though. Like, what's your favorite mug, Ian?
Perfect attendance mug.
Yeah, the perfect attendance at the bowling league mug.
From like 1984 to 1988.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a mug.
It is.
I know you're jealous, listeners, aren't you? You should be.
Sorry, I'm pouring my half of it. So tell me about this one, Andy. This is called the half of it.
This is what we
I
have,
have
right?
questions. I have questions.
Okay,
I
go.
want you to answer.
Go. I want to hear your questions
it's also
first.
from LongBay.
Yes.
The can looks like it's got like an upside down kind of pineapple cut in half.
That is a hop.
Okay, thank you. And it's called the half of it, a session IPA.
Yep.
I want to know what half of what it is.
Okay, so let me get.
It's also an unfiltered ale. I'm going to read the can. Give me a
Sure,
second.
go for it.
SRM 4, it says, and the IBU of 40. So you told me about the IBU is 60 on the other one.
Right, so this is a 40 IBU, so it's 40 on the International Bitterness Unit scale.
So it's less bitter than the one we just had.
Yes, it is.
I don't know what SRM means, and I don't know what half of it
And
is.
so your SRM also equates to the same thing, I believe, as your ABV, which is your alcohol by volume.
Okay.
So it's a 4% beer.
Okay.
That's what that means.
It's a half.
And that's when it says session beer, that means it's a session. That means it's usually a lower alcohol content. And I'll let you read that first, but I'll tell you what a session beer really is, actually, and where that history comes from.
Do you want me to read the side? Do you want to tell me
Yeah,
what
no,
the
please
half
read
of
it.
is?
No, read it.
This is the half of it, a portion of something typically implied to be most significant part. Our first session beer was inspired by this phrase, retaining all the tropical and dank flavors of a double IPA, but only half the alcohol content. That's right. It does say dank. I heard that slowly. Dank.
Yeah.
Hazy in appearance.
Double IPAs are very dank.
Yet clean on the palate. The beer was brewed for those who want full flavor without the full kick.
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what a session beer is. So a session, when they talk about session beers, what they talk about is beers from, I think, the early 1900s, right? So when people would work in industrial situations, they would take their breaks and they would feed them beer during their breaks, and they would they would give them very low alcohol content beers, and that's what they would, instead of drinking, they would give them water to hydrate them. They'd give them beer.
So is it?
So what it's called is they would be like, they have a 15-minute break, and they could have 3 beer in that 15-minute break, and that was their session they were having, right?
Really?
So that's why they call them a session beer, and that's why they're low alcohol content, because you could drink more. You drink more of them, and you won't become intoxicated quicker, right? And that's why it's a lower alcohol content.
I did not know this.
And that's where the term session beer comes from.
Here's a question. I'm going to ask you this in later weeks.
Yes.
I've seen some other beers called Saison. So
different style beer. We'll get to it.
I'm going to ask you that later on. But I've been curious about that one too. I did not know about the session.
That's where the term session beer comes from, right? So when you hear it, you can get session beers mostly in ales. Usually, when you look at the picture when it's cut in half, that's a hop. and they're cutting in half, say the half of it, because what this is it's similar. It was structured upon a double IPA, which they make, and a double IPA is an imperial beer, which means it's 8% or higher usually.
Okay.
Usually between 8 and 9% is what it is. They have one that's called a double dragonfly that they put out, and I believe that
Strong beer.
yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's delicious, but you can't drink a lot of them because those are going to kick your ass.
It's like drinking.
So they put this one out. They put this one out after that to say they want to give you the pretty similar flavor profile.
Yep.
With everything, but half of the alcohol content.
Right on.
And that's the half of it right there, and that's where the name came from.
Right on. Okay.
Not that the owners told me that. I just figured it out because beer.
Well, that's all right. You're our beer experts. That's good. So back to another question around St. John.
Yeah.
So if you had the choice to live in any part of St. John, where would you choose to live?
It would definitely be the uptown core, right?
Why?
Why? Because that's the vibrancy. You can walk the stuff. You can do stuff. You could walk and do whatever you need to do at any point in time.
Okay. Yep.
So let's say I live in the uptown core of St. John. I can walk uptown. I can go get a meal somewhere. I can go to one of the fantastic multitude of craft breweries that are up there that we're going to get to talk about later on.
Yep.
I can go to my office where I work at.
Yep.
I can walk to somewhere and pick up a small load of groceries that I could carry in a couple of bags
right. Yep.
and walk back to my house.
Takeout meal.
There's very few things that you can't do in the uptown core and walk to and walk back to.
If you were having a long day or it was a warm day after work and you wanted to decide to say, hey, you know what? I'm not hungry. I'm just going to stop and have a beer on my way home.
You can do that.
You got lots of places to choose from.
You can do that.
Yep. And have a pretty good view.
Let me tell you right now that one of the
waterfront city.
One of the gems that the city of St. John has put out in the past 10 plus years is the waterfront container village.
Mm-hmm.
It is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What a draw.
I agree.
Right in front of where they bring in all of the cruise ships. All those cruise ship passengers get to go in there. They get to go and they shop local stuff, local vendors. They get to see what this province of New Brunswick has to put out. Fantastic food, fantastic wares, awesome service, fun times.
Connected to Harbor Passage.
Fantastic shows there. Let me tell you, last summer, all right? So I'm at my office, and it was last summer when St. John was hosting the Memorial Cup. Mm-hmm. And every single day they put on free concerts. Yep. And every single day I got to hear awesome musicians from Canada playing their music outside of my office window, because my office is right across the street from this place, right? And I could hear it. And I went out there a couple of times afterwards, and I'd walk over and you'd walk in and see a free concert by people like Classified, Joel Plaskett, guys like that. Doing free concerts across the street.
Yep. All right, Andy, I can tell by the position of the sun in the sky that our producer is giving us the nod that we must wrap up.
Let's throw a shout out to the producer though, man. The kid is bomb.
He's not bad. I hear he's a 410.
Yeah, that's the rule. Anyways, we'll give a shout out to our audio engineer, our mixer, our editor, the kid who's doing all the background for us,
our wives to put up with us.
Yeah, you know they're cheering us on, and we appreciate that too. We appreciate Seth, Danielle, Vicky, all y'all are bomb. Everybody else in the fam, you're all cheering us on too. We love it. Can't wait to have you on to future episodes in the podcast someday, maybe as special guests. Maybe.
So I'm sure they'd love to be here.
So we're wrapping it up now, Ian. What are we going to do in the future here? What are we doing in that?
Well, in the future, I think we're going to talk about some hot topics.
Like what?
I don't know, like current events. Like how about influencers? Like how about, I don't know, what's going on in the States? What's going on in Canada?
Beer?
Sure.
Why not?
We also might talk about some food.
Beer?
And beer. Yep.
Okay. What else?
I think other bullshit too.
Oh, how about beer?
Beer will probably be in there.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Okay. All right. So, and then till next time.
You know what you need to do? You need to go hit the like, subscribe, and continue to listen for future episodes of the podcast.
And coming soon, I'm going to be saying Link merch in bio.
Man, I want that.